All right, welcome everybody to the Conservation Commission meeting. Today is September 10th, 2024. And first up on the agenda, first of all, I want to say congratulations to John.
Thank you.
For he has been promoted to being a full voting member. So congratulations. Glad that you are with us. Second thing I want to mention is we were talking about Jason Harris at the last meeting, and there was discussion about his qualifications as a wetland scientist, and I found out he actually does have a degree in wetland sciences, and this is what he told me. Well, this is what I found out. He has a degree in wetland sciences, engineering, a master's in building sciences from MIT, human resources degree, International Building Commissioner certification, FEMA floodplain manager certification, and hopefully a Harvard Law certification in May. Don't want to jinx him, but yeah.
Sounds pretty qualified to me.
Yeah, I know. He was saying he's been in school for 25 years. So I just want to have a shout out to Jason. I mean, he's been really great to work with and super professional and super responsive. But I felt that I definitely wanted to get that out there for the commission to know, but also for the town to know that we are super lucky to have him, and especially somebody who's so educated. Okay.
Very good.
Yeah. All right. And so first up on our business, discussion with town manager. I understand you're going to be.
Sure. Do I take voice?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Your name and address.
You could actually just sit at that microphone.
Yeah. That'd be,
Sure.
is there a chair for her?
Yes. So hi, everybody. I'm Samantha Linehan. I am contracted with Abington as part of in-house alternatives to help with communications. I've been working with the town for 3 years, helped implement our new website and work with several other South Shore towns. And Scott asked that I come tonight to hear you guys have had some ideas about better communicating to residents about how they should be interacting and how conservation impacts their lives in ways they might not know. And so I've come today to try to understand what types of products we're looking for, materials you would like, and then I have a few questions that we can discuss, and I do know you have a full agenda. I can also send them to you guys in an email and have you answer them and send them back. So whatever best works for the commission, I'm happy to do.
Okay, great. Yeah, we had a lot of different ideas. We had a sort of brainstorming session earlier, like a month or two ago. But I'll just, some of the things that we were thinking about is a Facebook page or social media page for the town. One of the things that I think would be awesome to do is be a Tree City USA from the National Arbor Day Foundation. There are 4 things that are necessary for it. I'm not sure if we have all of those things, but one of them would be having an Arbor Day celebration every year. So we had a number of different awesome ideas from people on the commission for how to do that. Okay, let's see. You guys tell me. I can't remember every single idea. But
We were going to do a little pamphlet. I started working on that. I have a draft of it. It's not quite ready for everyone to look at yet, but
Sure.
Right, so
next time I'm at a meeting, I'll have it for you guys. So.
right,
Okay.
so like when they have the spooky, semi-spooky woods and the
Not so spooky.
not
Not
so
so spooky.
spooky, and the Oktoberfest and the
There's like Christmas concerts. There's lots of places we can hand these things out
Right.
for sure. But also, we talked about having it go into potentially one of the tax bills, right? To go to all the.
Yeah, Scott was looking into that, since we don't actually stuff the envelopes
Yeah.
and send out the tax bills, he's not sure that's possible.
Okay.
I don't know if you had that conversation with him.
I did not.
Yeah.
Okay.
right. And I think when Samantha was here earlier, I briefly touched on when we first got married and we bought a house in Randolph, there was actually a little welcome envelope that was sent to us as new residents of the town, and it gave, the magnet we have with all the town contacts, fire department, police, to send something like that with local businesses that you might want to do business with, Mal's Kitchen, Martin's, and also maybe a conservation brochure. just to the new homeowners, or maybe even have something at the building department window, a stand with a conservation pamphlet there, that they can, hey, I'm looking to build an addition. Oh, you might want to take this, just as a thought.
Oh, we also talked about mass mapper training potentially, or
It's
we're
on the
doing
agenda.
that today, yeah. But we're doing an actual training, or we're just, okay, cool, so,
Yeah.
It's fun.
yeah.
But it could also
there we
be
go.
fun to have like a little video here, you know, here's how to use Mass Mapper and, you know, a 5-minute sort of thing.
So a homeowner can actually zoom in and look at their property and say, oh,
Oh, that's what I have.
yeah.
Did we talk about working with Abington Cam to film something too?
Oh, that's PSA.
So we talked, and Lynn and I are probably gonna go on with Kevin Tachi, and he'll basically interview the two of us,
Cool.
which will, you know, get us to answer his questions, and,
Excellent.
yeah, so, I don't know when we're doing that, but I would think probably within the next month.
Great, so this is very helpful. So I will, a couple initial responses. So a flyer and brochure are definitely great. A flyer is more cost effective than a brochure. You can run them off here
Yeah.
at Town Hall.
Sure.
Or you can, they're cheaper. If you do get a printer to print them and they're a little more professional, they're still a little bit cheaper. And then brochures are slightly more expensive depending on how many you're gonna run. And
We can use the Plymouth County Jail also for printing.
great, so that, yeah, that brings your cost
They
down.
are super cheap.
Yeah,
And do a great job.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. And then when it comes to the social media page, I understand the want and think it could be a useful tool, but managing a social media page, it can be a lot of work. You should be posting at least 3 times a week to build your following as it starts, and then maintain with about 1 to 3 times a week for on the low end. It's a lot. I would, you know, some departments have a more natural following, such as, you know, police and fire. They're going to have a more natural following. People want to be connected, and Board of Health is lucky because people often subscribe because, you know, the trash route or other, they want to know when the flu shots are or how to recycle something. So they have this natural constituency that I would worry that conservation wouldn't have. But what I would offer is I'm happy to post on the town webpage. We have about a little over 2,000 followers, and it is continuing to grow, and always looking for content. So happy to post weekly, like as much as you guys want. I am happy to post as long as I have some, even if they're just like quick data facts or whatever it is, I can make the imagery with it, but just knowing, getting a little bit of content, and I can schedule those out.
Do you also deal with the town site itself as far?
Yes.
Okay, so like conservation's page is really very minimalist.
Yes.
So if you look at some of the other towns like Norwell and
Things that
Uxbridge, they have tons of different,
the conservation.
you know, Q&As, common questions, you know, do I need to do this, do I need to do that? You know, links to all kinds of other information. I just think that our page could
Yes.
definitely use a lot of improvement.
Absolutely. So I am happy to get that on there. Again, it's like understanding and getting the content as not a subject matter expert. So that was on my list, was to ask for towns that do a good job.
Yeah.
And
Acton was pretty good too.
acted great. And
Uxbridge, Acton, their web pages for conservation
Oh,
on
Fairhaven.
their town sites.
Yeah, and Fairhaven.
Norwell,
I guess I
Fairhaven.
know was really good. They,
Norwell's very good.
I still like the idea of a Facebook page. For
that way there you could link it to other Abington pages, not just towns, like, you know, Life in Abington, there's several Abington. And if
Right.
you get the word out, it helps out. I know the Board of
Yeah.
Health did something recently with the
I was
trash
just
pickup.
telling
and
Lynn,
it
when
shared a
I
lot.
ran for state office, I had an advertising firm, and they said, post something every day. You know, it doesn't have to be political, but post something, so it keeps popping up, popping up. Obviously, we'd have to post more conservation type of things, but you could post, you know, fall, you could post pictures of trees, or whatever, you know. In the winter, you could post pictures of Island Grove, you know, you could, there's
And we could
things-
actually work hand in hand with the health department because they have the compost barrels.
Right,
and-
so there's a lot,
have a lot of
I don't
information
think there'd be a
lately.
problem posting 3 things a week.
Perfect,
Not-
yes, because like,
you know?
it really is building that following and some people.
I don't
didn't
think
hear
we
that.
should allow any comments whatsoever. We don't want to get into discussions like Life in Abington and those things, you know, but,
So I understand where you're coming from, and it is, Facebook's algorithm prioritizes pages that allow discussion, so it is a bit tougher. Don't be surprised if you're not showing up on people's timelines as much without allowing discussion.
what about the town?
The town, we allow commenting
We
on
do.
it now. We do, we're like,
Is it approved commenting though?
it is not, and
Okay.
I have to say, so that was one of the first things when I came on board, I really pushed, I said, you know, if you want things to be seen, we have had bots that, that get filtered out, and there has not been a situation on the page that we had to be alarmed for, or that
Okay.
there's been hard questions, but there's
Well,
been
then-
nothing. as
And
long-
maybe we
yeah.
do. I mean, people could ask.
And if you have moderations, a
Right,
moderator, you
yeah.
could deem a comment unacceptable or
I
whatever
would
that
think
way.
that we would want the
can-
chairman and maybe vice chairman to be the moderator or admin on it, you know?
And social media does fall under open meeting
Right.
law circumstance. I'm not an expert on that, but Wayne and there's a backup that the town does to ensure that it's archived properly if someone was to request information. And there's some training around that. If you guys go down that path, that I'm happy to go over, and the MMA does a great job in explaining on like not deleting posts and how to edit them and making sure it's in compliance.
So if we, instead of having our own page, go with you,
Yes.
and we're like, anytime we want to post something, we
Yeah.
want to have 3 times a week, would we be able to do that, or would it be, okay, conservation, you only get once a week?
No, we
Okay.
welcome content, please, and so there's actually a feature with how the new website is set up. You may notice there, the second tab down is the live feed, and those post both on the website and to social media, and there's a moderated user feature so the departments actually are able to post using that, and so we could give you guys the ability to draft the post yourselves if you wanted to, and then there's a few of us that go and, make sure it's everything's spelled correctly and that it is appropriate. You always have to say that, and then they get up. So there's 2 options. We can give you that moderated user option, and the great part about that is then it pops up on the live feed on the website, or you can also send me enough content, and yes, we're happy to post multiple times a day and are always asking departments for more content, so we're happy. And we can schedule it out as well, like if you guys had a subcommittee meeting and said we're gonna spend 2 hours on having facts that we want out there, I could take that and schedule it all at one time for the next 6 months.
I think that would be awesome. Especially come springtime, because I know other towns, like the town of Rockland has a big clean up your neighborhood weekend, where they have Lowe's or Home Depot supply the trash bags, and, you assign everybody in their neighborhood or their street, and they get it organized, and just a thought.
That was something we had thought about combining with National Arbor Day, if we could get a
Or Earth
celebration
Day,
for that.
Earth Day,
Or
too.
Earth Day, which is around the same time.
April, yeah.
And that was something I was talking to Tony about with the National Arbor Day. If you go on their website, you'll see that they have 4 things that we would need to do, including the celebration. And their deadline for that is January 31st for getting all of the information to them. So we may not have time to do, get the celebration going this coming year, but maybe you have to apply for it every year. I don't think they're going to say no once you actually make it, right? But it'd be good to know whether we have, like, in terms of, like, they want things like a budget for trees, they want to have some bylaw about trees. So I thought Scott would have a really good idea. You would probably have a good idea whether we would meet those qualifications.
Yeah, I can definitely help in any communications aspect, and I can say that it's great to have a reason to talk about conservation, and a day like that kind of gives you a reason to wave the flag and have people pay attention. And I think it's also just like a nice thing to do. But from a PR perspective, I do think it can help you go the extra mile in getting eyes on it. Any other, like, it would be good timing to also, like, announce if you were going to do new, like, launch the Facebook page, or launch a new web page, or launch a resource page. That having a set day like that is a great way to push out additional communications, and people's eyes are on it.
Yeah. And we would be designated a Tree City USA if we had the celebration and did the other 3 things that we would need. So I thought that would be a really nice thing, Abington, Tree City USA, and people would be excited about, proud of the town, and also people would want to live here, do business here.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and you can also, I don't know how many surrounding towns have that, but it's something that you can also put out to, like, WCVB or Channel 7, one of the local news stations that might cover it, if not too many of our surrounding towns have it, and I can help you pitch that as well. I think that's a good idea.
I think there's nobody in the South Shore.
Oh, great.
I think Natick. The only way I found out about it is when I was looking at all the websites for every single town in Massachusetts, looking at regulations and bylaws, and I saw Natick, and I went, hey, how'd you get that?
That
should have that.
Yeah,
So I think that they're the only one in the general area that has it.
That would be a nice PR push. So recapping what we have right now, so you guys are discussing a social media page, or maybe leveraging the town page more, and then also a brochure. I think possibly a brochure and a flyer could go a long way, depending on how you're handing those out. And usually if you get one down pat, you're using a lot of the same information in a different format. And then lastly, what I will do right after, I'll sit down right after this meeting, and I have some questions to help me understand, like, what we need to get out there, and you guys can reply back, and I can come back at a meeting in the near future with a mock-up of a flyer, and I'm happy to collaborate with you on a brochure, and then I'll draft a more enhanced website with the answers that I'm getting you guys, and I'll do my own research as well, but it gives me somewhere to start looking at, and as well as those other town pages, and I think that will get us to another conversation point. Is there anything else that I'm missing, or that I should be thinking about as we're going through the process?
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good way to start right now.
That's a good start, I think, yeah.
Is there anything that we missed from that conversation? Like, we had a whole bunch of ideas.
I know, probably. I don't have my notes.
I
with
can
me.
go,
Yeah,
if
I
you
thought I
know
have it in my
what meeting it
notes.
was, I'm happy to go back and watch it.
Okay. Well,
I think we discussed giving away like samplings and stuff like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
little saplings, get them
Yeah.
donated and hand them out to the young kids at the grade school. First and second graders or something. Isn't that with Arbor Day, though, to hand out the
Yeah,
little
that was
trees?
part of the.
Or they would
Yeah.
incorporate that in.
Yep.
I agree. Okay, yeah, I think from looking at my notes, I think that was it. Yeah.
Great.
For now.
Great, so you guys will, I will put those questions together and send them over to Tony along with a recap of what we've talked about and some a timeline.
Okay,
Excellent.
perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
It's
Samantha.
very nice meeting you.
Same here.
Okay. This is good. All right, I'm going to move things around on the agenda. So we're going to skip over to the RDA for filling an in-ground pool located at 109 Washington Street. Would you like to come to the podium, introduce yourself, give your name and address?
109 Washington.
Could you say it to the,
Mike Sheehan,
you.
109 Washington.
thank you.
And I filled out all the paperwork you guys asked to do, and just want some guidance on what you guys want us to do from here.
Sure.
I think at the last meeting, we did discuss that there was no hazardous materials around the pool because I think solid waste management, I had gotten an email from DEP inquiring as to what we should and shouldn't be looking for, and so long as the rebar and, I mean, it must have been built in the 60s or
So there's
70s.
no rebar in that.
Okay, and the electrical that went out there
That
is
was
all
gone Before
removed?
you guys came, plumbing was gone, the electrical was gone.
Okay,
And he brought in a little bit of fill, but everything's kind of, it was built up to that, so we're just taking it all down to level and filling that in.
so the activity was kept to the front near the house and not towards the back at all?
There was no activity behind there. There was the fence around there, it's still laying, that, we stopped everything. The fence is still laying there, I'm just waiting to take it away. But that was, the liner's gone,
So they actually
Well-
had a fence in the back here?
there was a fence, there was a chain link fence around it, still sitting out there.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna.
So you're not doing anything in the backyard other than just cutting the grass?
We just cut
and-
everything, yeah, that's it.
cleaning
There is
it, yeah,
nothing else.
right,
All right,
There was
yeah.
a shed out there, the trees and grass were grown up as high as the second floor.
Yeah.
We just took it all down, and we're just putting grass back there. Just
Okay.
Yeah,
making it level and taking it away.
You're not cutting down any trees?
The one tree that I said in
Yeah.
the last meeting was over at the top of the house.
I see it right
It
here.
was right up next to the house.
Right, okay.
That was the
Right
only
there.
tree that we took down.
So, yeah, so the biggest concern is that because there is the wetland there,
Yes.
and that there needs to remain the buffer so that nothing happens within that area.
Yeah, so the only thing we're really doing is remedying that area. I'm not adding anything
Adding
to
to
it.
it.
We're taking it out of there.
Okay.
and you have to do the pool a certain way according to the building
Yes,
department
yeah,
anyway, so.
absolutely. Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it's done.
Jason's-
We've done it a million times, you
Yeah.
know. Since, we've done it 25 times.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
always-
recorded on the deed that there's a swimming pool that's been buried.
I do not know about
That's
that.
one of the requirements, I think DEP had said in the email I had forwarded to you and Jason, it said that it has to be on the record of deed, that there
And
is
the
a buried.
attorneys would know that more than I would.
Yeah.
Okay.
But whatever we need to do.
Well,
Yep.
you know, your attorney will probably include this.
Yes,
in-
for
in
sure.
the
Okay.
Yeah,
closing,
I mean,
you know,
there's,
so,
yeah, there's been a stop
Excellent.
work
Right, yeah.
done there, and the application is all gonna be there. We
So you're
dispose
just
of-
gonna fill the pool and seed it?
That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give it a nice little backyard and move on.
Yeah, it will be a nice backyard
Yeah,
once
it
it's
is,
all.
this place is great, you know. It was a surprise, I didn't know I had a pool.
Yeah, and the tennis court too.
What was there, a tennis court?
Basketball.
There was a tennis court basketball, I mean, back in my day, it was
tennis?
tennis.
Oh, yeah, because he played tennis every day. Trutham did.
Ginger Trufen lived there,
Yeah.
but there was a tennis that I remember, but,
So what is the motion here? Is it to approve the request for determination?
So
Give a negative
the
determination.
motion would be for a negative determination, under the guidance of the building department, I would say, because they have to okay this also, for filling in a
and
pool.
that no further work be done beyond that pool as far as.
Yeah, other than normal grass cutting and.
Yeah, there will be
Yeah,
nothing
right,
else
yeah.
beside that. I've gone to the building department twice for guidance, and I have not gotten any except for the stop work, so I will go back in again tomorrow and ask
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Like, I don't know what they basically were taking their hands off.
Right, yeah,
And,
yeah.
like, you know.
So just check with Jason
Yeah, I will.
and just make sure, you're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
That's all.
So is that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, motion for a negative determination for 109 Washington Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, so, and I think we also have to rescind the enforcement order.
Motion to
Officially.
rescind the enforcement order.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I'll just go to the
Opposed?
building department tomorrow and just say.
Yeah,
look,
just
You
check.
guys have anything that you need us to do?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nope, thank
So I
you
think
very
we need
much,
to
Michael.
assign
Thank you.
Something, thank you very much. But I don't see anything for our signature, so we'll have to deal with that later. Okay.
What are you guys here for?
Trouble.
Okay.
Trouble?
Good. Good trouble?
Okay.
Oh, bad trouble.
Actually, we're afraid of this meeting, this is about the subdivision going on.
Yeah, that's coming up. On Linwood?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's,
nobody seems to be
Nobody's-
here.
Actually, we're trying to figure out why.
Well, let's
Did they
go.
contact anybody?
I haven't heard anything. We can go through everything else
Quickly.
if they show up.
Can
Yeah.
I ask a question?
Sure.
on your thing?
You have to come to the microphone.
Hunt's Pond, right there.
You might want to come and identify
you have to-
yourself.
yeah.
Well, let me open
yeah,
that.
yeah, hold,
Okay.
let's,
Let's first get through everything else because they may arrive late.
yeah.
Right, okay.
And then we can have that conversation. If they don't show up, then,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
okay. So I think the rest of this is going to go pretty quickly, so. So the next thing on the agenda was the ANRAD Zero Shaw Avenue.
Continue.
Jean, they continued it, but I kept it on the agenda because I know, Jean, you had gotten a proposal that they said no to.
Yes, I got a peer review proposal from BSC. There was an email that was sent to me from Ken Thompson on August 21st saying they're not to move forward. They asked for a continuance. The next correspondence I had was September 5th stating that, they wanted more peer review proposals. So I lost 2 weeks of trying to contact, because I had contacted 3 people. One I never heard back from, the other one had to deny or say they couldn't be involved because they're already doing work in the town of Abington for the town of Abington. So the only one I heard back from was BSC, and I didn't hear anything negative until. So I'm just reaching out now. I did reach out to Ecosystem Solutions out of Rhode Island, Brandon Fanoff. He's taught classes for MACC. I did send him the ANRAD documentation, but I didn't keep a copy of Ken's electronic map of the wetlands. So I reached out to him today and I said, could you send that to me again, please? So as soon as I get it, and I'm waiting to hear back from Beta Group.
Okay.
So that would be 2 more that, but BSC's original proposal, I mean, I think it was 46 for the delineation line and 1,600 to come to a meeting. But we have the ability to Zoom them in, so there's really no need to, I mean, they'd have to charge us for the hour they spend or however long they spend, but no transportation costs.
Right,
And I don't think would require a follow-up or anything else.
no.
But, so it was in the ballpark of 6,000.
Right.
So did they ask to continue to the 24th?
They did,
They're continuing to the 24th,
to the 24th.
and I will not be able to make that meeting on the 24th.
But by then, we would have
The peer review
peer
proposals.
reviews.
Right.
We can then make a decision about what we want to do if they say no to, let's say we have 3 peer reviews, and they say no to them. What would we,
I'd make a motion to,
To deny.
to?
yeah, to
Okay.
deny.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
All right
Okay, so I
then.
don't think we need to have a vote on
No,
this,
no.
so we can
No.
skip over.
But that's the latest update.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's move on. Discussion and possible vote on amended enforcement order 261 Walnut Street. So this was the property where we gave them an enforcement order. Jean went out, took a look at it. They wanted to have a ground solar array. We told them that's not going to happen. Can hear something back there. So we need, though, to have a date for the delineation. So we need to amend the enforcement order to give them a deadline.
We didn't give him a deadline at the meeting? Oh, no, it was just a solar guy that was here.
He was just, the solar guy was
Yeah.
here. And I officially told Tony today that we wouldn't approve the RDA because the ground solar is going to overlap with the disturbed wetlands. So that needs to get fixed first, and then they can come back and do it. Our deadline for delineation is November 15th. So they're going to need time to find somebody.
No, I'd put November 15th. If they can't do it, then,
Wait until the spring.
Right.
well, let's see what happens between now and November 15th.
Okay.
If they get it done sooner, great.
Okay.
We'll have 2 meetings before that date, so.
Yep.
So I would make a motion to amend the enforcement order to state a deadline of November 15th to give us the delineation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Okay. All right, enforcement order on 225 Brockton Avenue. I reached out to Jason, but he is not, his job duties don't allow him to kind of accompany us or us to accompany him on site walks, so I'm gonna reach out to Tony and ask her to set up a site walk.
For all the owners.
With the
Yeah.
owners, yeah. I would like Jean and Alex to be some of the members to go, since I overheard you guys talking about what it looked like before.
What it used to be.
And you can tell us, nothing should have been built there, right? So it should look
Yeah, there's
the
nothing
same.
built there. It's
Okay.
just pretty much cleared, and I don't know if they brought fill in.
Okay.
Yeah,
And another person can come, of course, I'm not.
yeah, yeah.
But I'm trying to, if that's okay with you two.
That's fine with me.
All right, moving on, enforcement and possible, discussion and possible vote on dependable tree located at 837 Randolph Street. We had a site walk, John, Jean, and I today. Would you guys like to describe what happened?
Take it away,
Go
John.
ahead, go ahead. I'll follow up with you, I'll follow up.
So we met with the wetland scientist, Mr. Donahoe, and the brother of the property owner. And he was showing us the property dependable tree is on, and also an additional lot that he purchased right beside it. And what he wanted to do was combine the two projects and move this intermittent stream and pond over to make the second lot accessible and buildable for a house to be put on there. He had Mass Mapper printouts from 2016 forward showing that Mr. Makowitz, who had owned the property way back, and he was conservation for years and years, how that property had already been disturbed and used and this and that. So looking at the 2016 to the 2024, you could see that there's been additional changes, which we did go to look at, and they have moved some of the materials away from the wetland area and towards Mr. Makowitz's house. They put up a stone retaining wall, and it's further away from the 35-foot, which was nice, and they cleaned out all the debris that had been dumped down in that gully, which consisted of like tree stumps and branches and other debris.
Wood chips.
Wood chips were right up there. It's not really an intermittent stream, he said, it's a ditch. There's a flat area that has a wetland, and that half of the wetland goes to the Taunton River, and the other one goes somewhere else off in Norfolk County area. And I'm like, if it's flat, how does it go from one side to the other? I mean, how does it know to split? So this is confusion on my part. I just couldn't understand how that could happen, even though he dug a ditch. But if it's flat, water's just gonna sit, not, I don't know. So I was confused. I was not
Right,
understanding.
yeah, it was
I
like
was
with the
not
part right
underst-
where, he's like, well, it goes upstream, but it looked like the land was kind of like slanting down.
yeah,
And I was
so-
like, well, how's, river does, water doesn't usually flow
Upstream.
north compared
Right.
to, just a natural flow downward.
So I'm glad, because I was
Yeah,
like,
it was a little, and he kind of just,
right, so then
Rushed
Lynn
up.
had said, he had asked if anybody had reached out to DEP,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where Lynn jumped in and said she had. So no.
Yeah. So we were, talking about how they wanted to combine restoration and the Helm into one big NOI. And she said, no, always keep restoration a separate thing, no NOI. And the reason for that is when we have an enforcement order, we can say, you have 60 days to do a delineation. You have like 90 days to do this. But if you do an NOI, they have 3 years to do a restoration. And then they can ask for an extension for another 3 years. So then you'd have 6 years of no restoration. The other thing that she mentioned is she's never heard of anyone moving an intermittent stream or any stream. She says MassDOT does it, but they have a lot of exceptions in the law to the Wetlands Protection Act. So they've had to do it a few times. She didn't understand why you just not have a stream crossing instead of moving a stream. He said he was gonna call her and maybe clarify some things.
Right.
So, I mean, I could see where he was coming from.
But yet, at the we had a big 3-month period where we didn't hear anything from them at all. And the meeting that we had last discussed, the owner had said he had gotten a call and they were given the okay to bring in asphalt, reprocessed asphalt, and make the parking lot there. And when the owner was here and I asked about it, he said it was misunderstood and my manager told me we could do it, but it's gonna be moved. And we said, okay, move the parking to the other side. And then we didn't hear from them. So, and now it's like, oh, we're gonna combine the 2 properties, relocate the stream. And I'm like, well, what happened to what was told to us earlier?
Yeah.
So, I mean, based on what DEP is saying, it does make sense. You've got an area that we got a complaint on, fix that area, and then go on to Plan B.
And his thing now is saying that nothing really needs to be restored because everything has been moved away and everything's been cleared out from the wetlands, from the buffer. They're saying they're not going to work within a certain area anymore. He was showing us this was already disturbed back, I don't know when Frank Mackwitz.
Before
owned the
laws were
property,
made.
For
Yeah.
decades. But they were, when I went there, they had this 20-foot tall pile of mulch and we said, you
Yep.
gotta move that. So they did.
Right,
They said they're willing to keep that stone wall.
yeah,
And also keep erosion control.
right, the silt fence
So
and the,
fences
yeah,
in perpetuity, I guess. And that would protect the wetlands, but in their belief is that no wetlands were actually encroached upon. And that they would have, now in terms of how much, so they'll say, okay, we're always gonna stay this far, like 15 feet or something, or 35 feet from the wetlands. But is there gonna be like a physical marker saying, hey guys, don't dump your stuff here? He's saying they would never do that, and I can,
Well, across the street, we're gonna be requesting some sort of permanent barrier. So I think same goes over here.
yeah, even if it's just the cement, the big cement
Right.
stacking.
yeah. Anyway, he said he couldn't make it tonight because he has 4 other places to go, 4 other meetings to attend, and I said that was fine, we were just gonna talk about the sidewalk.
Okay.
So I let him have, hear what his discussion with Whitney and Cleese is. he wants her to come out to actually see it, but she's not a circuit rider.
No.
I said, I don't think she's going to, but he said, because he used to work at DEP, and he wrote a lot of the regulations that she probably would. So,
Okay,
so
let's
good,
see what
you know,
happens.
if she comes out, then she'll see the
It'll fall to
situation,
her.
and we can get a good judgment call from
Right.
that.
It's still up to this board, what it
Yeah.
does, so,
Yeah, exactly.
okay.
Okay, so that's the situation there. I don't think we need a vote on that. Discussion on restoration, a possible vote on Hanson Tree located at 832 Randolph Street. Nobody's here tonight. I did get a phone call from Chris Reed, who's the manager there. He was asking for an update, so I told him what we had discussed at the meeting when his wetland scientist was here. He said he just wants to make certain that whatever happens, that he is able to stay in business. And I explained to him, you know, we want you have the burden of proof of showing that what you're gonna do is gonna keep, you could stay in business. But if we can get, say, 35 feet of a buffer and you can still stay in business, then we're gonna ask for that additional protection. So he said he was gonna reach out to David Cowell to see if he's, we had asked at the last meeting for varying proposals to show us what could and could not be done, so he was fine with that. So we'll move on, and we will open up we already opened at the last meeting, SC 0840576, notice of intent, file for a proposed residential subdivision with the cul-de-sac crossing existing wetlands to create 3 lots with a single-family home on each located at 44 and 54 Linwood Street. So I don't see anybody here
And we
for
didn't
that.
hear from them?
And I did not get any notice of continuance. I'll check my email, but I checked it right when you guys asked me and
Well, I guess
nothing.
we can open it and we can listen to, we really shouldn't discuss too much about it with them not here, but if they're not gonna respond to us, I just pull it off the agenda and let them refile.
Okay.
I mean, there's no point just keep putting it on week after week on the agenda.
So you mean file a new NOI?
Well, no, but basically let us know when he wants to come before the board.
Okay.
There's no point of us keep discussing it if he's not gonna show up. I mean, he was supposed to be here at the last meeting, supposed to be here at this meeting, and they're not.
In the interim, can we reach out and see if we can get a copy of their plan with the topography that we can read? Because on this map, with the original, how it looks today, there's so many circles with the tree widths on there that it's very hard to read the elevation lines.
So Tony will be watching this.
I had emailed Tony and I asked her, I wanted a separate
Okay.
page, because that brings up another thing, which we'll talk about later, but one of the things, if you're gonna encroach into the buffer, we need to have that information about slopes
Oh,
in our
yes.
regs.
Right.
So, yeah. All right.
So I would suggest that Tony let them know what we're looking for.
Okay.
And they may want to review their filing to make sure.
Doesn't our
Everything.
wetland regulations also include the fact that they have to do a wildlife study? If all of that information, will Tony send that request to them as well?
Yeah, I completely forgot that they contain that, because nobody has asked to encroach into it since we made the regulations, but, yeah, I already sent an email to Tony to ask them for just a blank, not a blank page, but a separate page with just the topography, so we can see the extent of the slope.
Okay.
But I'll send another one regarding the other things that we'll need.
Okay.
So why don't we listen to,
Yeah. Would you like to
Would you-
come up and state your name and address?
Thank you.
Yeah, brand new knee.
Brand new knee.
Brand new, less than 2 weeks.
good for
Woo-hoo.
you.
You're doing well.
Yeah,
Not even
forever.
broken in yet. And that one I did in April.
Wow.
Bionic man.
$4.5 million man right here.
There you go. 4.5 million.
Hi, I'm Barry McMenamin. I live at 9 Hunts Pond. I'm a brother to Hunts Pond, and actually, this is nothing that I've broached before, but the dam at the end on Mill Street it's deteriorating, and do we have any kind of plan for what's gonna happen when that lets go? Because the whole pond is going south when that thing lets go. Is there something that, I heard when I first moved in that the farmer, Mr. Beal, and the doctor at the end of the pond had built that themselves so that the cows could have ice during the summer and stuff like that, but what happens when it goes? Do we just say no more pond, or?
I have no idea. That was something that we would,
We'll have to look into.
or contact another department, that would be, I mean, I have no idea who that would fall under.
Be a
Like
perfect
it's been
time.
Public
maintained?
Works or something? I mean, like
DPW maybe?
DPW?
State, I don't know.
I reckon the last time it's been maintained.
Yeah. If it
So
was,
is that part of town property? I know the Conservation Commission accepted some, what was the doctor's name?
I'm sorry?
What was the doctor's name that lived over there?
I don't know, right down there at the edge of the dam with the brick wall around it.
Yeah,
I know the one you're talking about, but I don't know his name.
but I thought we had years ago accepted some land. That might be conservation land, because I remember she kept calling us and wanted the Conservation Commission to go out there and clean leaves and everything out of it after they gave it to us.
Wow.
So I don't know if that dam is included in it or not, but
I think the dam is pretty much, you can go down there and look, it's wearing out, there's chunks of it are missing on
Yeah.
the sluice or the sluice where the water flows. No, so it's not gonna get any better. and-
Certainly in tough shape the last time I saw
Yeah.
it, so.
are there houses downstream of it? Like, is it gonna cause problems when it
Doesn't it go
goes?
in,
It
No,
should
going
go
into-
underneath the road, though.
Yeah.
it goes onto
under-
123 into that meadow,
under Mill Street.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it crosses 123 and it goes
Right.
over to the meadow and then it goes to Whitman.
Brockton and Whitman.
Yeah.
Over there, yeah.
Yeah.
So how close is that to the Linwood Street?
I'm sorry?
So the 4454 Linwood Street, you're close by, and that's where the,
Downhill
Yeah.
from that property.
They about it, and I come in from Hunts Pond and they come in from that side, that's all.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's,
So Linwood comes down and then it's Mill.
yep,
Yeah.
so it's a nice chunk of land to be pretty, but I'd rather see it a pond than a brook and a swamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is true.
No, we'll definitely look into
Been a
that.
pond for a long time, too.
Yeah, I've swam in it once,
Did you?
it was all we needed.
Aw.
It was black and it was muddy.
Yeah, I used to go fishing there when I
Pretty
was a
ugly,
kid.
yep. Get a lot of snapping turtles up in the swimming pool, but I'd love to see it stay that way, you know.
Yeah, of course.
I actually talked to someone who said they knew one time where they came in and took the dam, released it, let the water flow, came in, scraped, took all the mud and
Sediment,
stuff, mixed it with sand, and can make more money from that loam than it cost to clean it.
Oh, you know who was there? Rich Beal, the farm that they had up on Linwood Street.
Yep. It's great soil if you can get it out of there. That was my
Yeah.
only
No, we'll
question.
definitely look into that.
All right. And what's happening is it another 4 months before they come again, or?
Well, unless we hear from them, it's not going to be on our agenda again. So,
Will we be notified?
You should have been notified already.
you were notified once,
Yeah.
and for continuance, you are not notified again?
We just check.
Just
You
keep
just have to-
checking our agenda.
Yeah.
But if we drop it off this agenda, doesn't that mean they have to re-notify?
No, well, unless we voted to close it. And why don't we continue it for one more meeting and see what happens? We'll put it on the agenda for the
For next month,
24th.
24th of this month.
24th of this month?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great.
So we'll put it on the agenda for the 24th. If we don't hear from them before then I would make a motion to close it out.
That's good news.
All right.
It's gone from 10 houses to 6 houses to 4 houses to 3 houses, so each time I keep coming back, I get a little bit more.
We'll leave it
I
on
do
the
have one more question.
Okay.
We have beavers in the pond.
Wow.
What,
Because it's,
They're killing more trees than, they are killing trees
They're
left and
evil.
right, and they have filled the culvert on Groveland. They flooded the whole woods on the other side now. So, if you're coming down Groveland, you're
Yeah.
heading towards Brockton.
Yeah.
You cross over the bridge.
Yeah.
This whole wood section is now completely underwater.
Is it real? I haven't been,
Yeah.
I was just at Tractor Supply in Holbrook and I didn't even notice that.
Yep, it's hard to see, there's brush along the edge. and
Okay.
Everybody thinks it's okay to dump this stuff.
Oh, I
so
know,
across
I
from
know.
Hunts Pond Road.
Yeah, yeah.
That whole woods is full of water, so the culvert is completely full. I saw them down past Cape Cod Lumber, and they were cleaning that culvert out because they had flooded that woods. But nobody came down to do Groveland, is that,
That would be DPW.
what do you do about the beaver though? The beaver's killing, and literally, they've killed
I
100
don't
trees in
think
there
you
already.
can do anything.
There really isn't. There was a seminar they did last year about beavers. They don't relocate them, but there is a way to prevent them from blocking culverts,
Okay.
which requires, you know, getting a company in there to do it. It's, I think I saved it.
It's amazing, you get down there and it's big oak trees that have
They're
built up.
quite the engineers, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you want to preserve Hunts Pond, have them build it on the other side where the dam's failing.
They'll fill in the culvert.
Come this way.
Yeah, but that way they'll fix the dam.
But that's something that the Conservation Committee takes over, or do you look into that, or who looks into that?
For the
We'll
beavers?
call DPW tomorrow, see what he says.
Yeah.
For the culverts, but for the beavers,
Maybe John's run
And
into
they're
it before.
yeah. I mean, maybe he
You're
knows
working down
what
by
to
the
do,
pool and
but
you'll hear, sounds like somebody threw a boulder in the
Oh, when they
pond.
slap their tail, yeah.
And then they
Pretty-
come,
I
and
don't
beeline
think,
towards you, it's like,
Yeah.
maybe I'll wait up.
But the only thing good about beavers is that there'll only be one family per pond. It's not multiple families, it's one.
Yep. I think they have a lodge in
Yep.
Hunts Pond now. One side is actually covered with the wood, you can see it. But I think the one flooded on the other side is where they flood that and then feed off that until it's no good. But they're working diligently. They're working like beavers down there.
busy beavers.
Busy beavers, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay, so, should we get a motion to
So
continue?
I'll make a motion to continue SE 840576, notice of intent to September 24th.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, unanimous. Great.
Samantha would like to take a quick picture.
Sure.
Oh, sure.
Oh, no.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, whizzing through the agenda today. Discussion about partial certificates of compliance policy. So you guys probably saw this that I found from Uxbridge's website. So the reason I wanted to bring this up is we've had discussions in the past about what to do about partial certificates of compliances. And we've had several cases where people have come before us to say, okay, approve this today because I'm closing tomorrow. The people who come in don't know whether we're going to give them a partial or say, no, you need to have a full. And one of the benefits of having regulations on the website is to make things very clear to someone coming in. For example, if you're going to do replication, it's going to be 2-to-1, right? Instead of them coming in and going, well, the state says 1-to-1. Well, we always like 2-to-1, but they can't read our minds, right? And as we have been on the board and learning more information and discovering, oh, well, DEP is now saying you guys should do 2-to-1, we started to incorporate that and requesting that. But it wasn't until we actually put it on the website that everyone comes in knowing Abington Conservation Commission is going to require 2-to-1. I need to do my project accordingly. So there are some towns like Uxbridge that have a policy of no partial certificates of compliances. And when you go, there's a MACC recommends to not give partial certificates when you have replication, because it's a 2-year process, sometimes 3, depending on the commission's judgment. We've had cases where we've given people a partial in terms of, okay, you have a small area you want to restore or replicate, the owners are going to understand that they're in charge, right? They need to continue that and monitoring. But we've had a case where we assumed when we were writing the order of conditions that they would continue the restoration or replication. We said okay to the certificate of compliance, and then they refused to do anything more. You signed the certificate of compliance, we're good. So I know many of us have been thinking about what are we going to do about partials, and I feel like we should have some sort of policy with giving people the opportunity, right, in rare cases, there may be exceptional cases where we have, at our discretion, we say, sure, you can have a partial. But I think we need to have something up there like we do with all our other regulations, so somebody doesn't buy a home, a property, a building, expects they'll get a full or a partial and they can sell it. Instead, it's up here and they can plan their design, whether they do it, what they want to do. I don't want to do replication because I can't get a partial, so I'm going to make the house a teeny bit smaller and move it somewhere else.
So this came up because of 17 Robert English.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
And when he was here at the last meeting, I was under the impression that the replication behind that house at 17 was part of the original notice of intent for the house, and it was not. It was, the replication is part of the notice of intent for the road. So Rich and I went out there today, and he's done an exceptional job, I think, on the replication. He did soil samples 3, 4, 5 places for us, and it's nice black soil all the way down there. So I kind of have to apologize to Mr. Kennedy because I was dead set against a partial because of the replication. But you take the replication out of it because that's not on the notice of intent for 17 Robert English. The grass has stabilized, so I would have no problem giving them a full certificate on 17. The replication, when he comes back to us for a certificate of compliance for the whole subdivision, that replication should be in pretty good shape.
And the rest of his road should be
And
complete.
his rest of his road would have to be complete. So
But it's a 2-year.
it's a 2-year process.
But that'll be a great time to monitor that plantings and see where that goes, so that,
And,
So they planted.
oh, it's all
Already,
planted,
okay.
everything, yeah.
One of the things though with the plantings, I know when I first went out there to look at the hole when it was excavated and his wetland scientist was there, according to page 6 of the plans, there was supposed to be X amount of trees, X amount of bushes, and X amount of this, that. I also had asked at that time that the soil that was brought in, there was no quantity that was given to us as far as the amount of soil that was brought in. I also wanted to ask where the receipts were for the purchase of the plantings and compare it to what was originally on the accepted plan. I mean, it did look good when Justin and I were out there, but, I mean,
We didn't compare it to a plan or anything, we just visually looked at it.
Right.
So when they're asking for the certificate of compliance
Right.
on the road, then,
then we can get that information. that I'm
yeah,
looking
well, I would suggest they get it to us before they ask for the, but they're a year out on
Okay.
that road.
Yep,
And a matter of fact, some of the bushes were, he said were dying, they were pulling them out and replacing them.
yeah. And I mean, one of the things when we went to look at it for the partial COC, you know, Mr. Kennedy had mentioned how expensive that restoration is. And, you know, I said, yeah, that's why when people come in and they want to disturb a wetland, it's something we really try to ask them not to do.
Right.
Because it is extremely
Yeah.
expensive.
Right.
And it's also going to take up 2 years to reach the potential that it should be at to be successful. And he's dealing this time of year with the fact that he's planting now in the fall. So you're gonna hope and pray that there's no wildlife damage through the course of the winter. As we've found out with other projects that were done in the fall, they came back in the spring and everything was destroyed,
Yeah.
was eaten. I mean, and that's what wildlife does.
So I think before planning accepts the road,
Yeah,
I think we're probably gonna be close to the 2 years. So it should, in this
Okay.
case, I think it will work out
Yeah.
pretty close.
good.
But,
I mean, it was a beautiful, I mean, 17 looked beautiful. The grass was coming in much nicer than the first house.
Yeah.
And the markings were there for the new 100-foot and, you know, the signs were there. And he was going to buy all new signs
He
that
did.
feed our regulations.
he did.
For all,
Size.
yeah,
Make
for
sure
the
it's like-
size.
Yeah, so it wasn't
Correct.
so small.
Personally, I
Right.
think it's a little overkill with 7 of them between the 2 houses, but if
Yeah,
that's
it's a
what the
little
order.
unsightly.
Yeah,
It is, but
$950,000 for a house and you got 6 of those in your backyard.
And I understand that, but that's the price that happens when you have a 35 no disturb zone with a wetland that was just replicated. I mean,
Well, what's to stop the homeowner from taking those down at some point? Anything? There's no,
they're supposed to remain in perpetuity.
right.
So it's a violation of the order of conditions. If they take it down, we have to give
So
an
there's
enforcement
It's an
order.
enforcement, okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
I don't want people to, it's just so expensive to get a wetland scientist and to
Mhm.
delineate and have to restore. It's just,
It's for the protection of what they've just done too. I mean,
yeah.
he spent a lot of money doing what he did.
Right.
I mean, when they excavated that hole, his wetland scientist had to call the excavator over to go even deeper. And he didn't realize till they could hit the water table,
Yeah.
just how much organic matter had to be brought in. And I mean, that's a lot of money.
He said it was very expensive. He didn't tell us how much, but I'm sure.
I mean, he didn't tell me how much, but I mean, I remember standing there with Jason Harris and I was looking at him and going, oh.
Yeah.
But I think if we could come up with some sort of granite or concrete marker, that would be a little bit more appealing.
The only thing is with ones that were in the ground, I mean, you have snowstorms, who's going to see it? I mean, who's going to recognize the fact that you really want to wait for this area to be mature? We've had that situation happen in another project where, I mean, you bring children in, kids in, and yeah, you can walk through it, but what do they do? I mean,
You're trying to get a replication area to meet the performance standards, get up to 75% establishment, and if they start walking through it, you know, kids are kids. Let's plant this pretty flower, you know, grab this pretty flower or whatever like that.
I mean, I remember when I was a
So,
kid, I mean, we just like, cut down any tree we found and dragged it off and built a fort in the woods. I mean,
Well, there's plenty of 4x4s that could build a fort if they cut down all those.
That's true.
but I'm just saying, it's
to protect the investment of restoring what was taken away because the house was approved to be built there.
Right.
I mean,
Well, let's get into the policy though, or you know, can we come up with something that is kind of standardized so that everyone's not surprised while also giving wiggle room as needed? You know what I mean? Like, let me give you an example. We had a property where it was this decrepit house.
you grab that copy down
Everything.
there.
The whole neighborhood wanted that thing taken down and redone. But they were along stream and the Rivers Protection Act kicks in, so any work that you do, cutting down a tree, that has to get restored one-to-one, as close to the stream as you possibly can. But it wasn't very much that they had to do. It was a very small little area, so I would feel okay with giving them a partial in this case. They get the house, the people who own the home, they know they have to have it monitored. But if we have another situation where it's a piece of property, nothing but trees, bushes, and stuff is there, and they're gonna replicate 10,000 square feet, I'm a little less cool with giving them a partial for that situation, because it's much, much more likely that it's gonna fail.
So if somebody came to us and wanted a partial on a single house, never mind a subdivision, and the only thing, it's November, and the only thing that's not stabilized is the grass. So are they gonna have to wait until May to sell that
Well,
house?
that would be the exception that I would
Okay.
give, is if it's grass, I
Yeah.
mean, that's not
Okay.
something that's really
Okay.
hard to do, and if it.
I
grass
agree
doesn't
with
grow
that
out.
then.
Yeah,
I would have no problem with this policy then,
okay.
because it says partial certificates will be issued for exceptional situations only. And I would think that would be an exceptional situation if it was only grass or something like that, you know,
Right.
or something minor. Absolutely, if it's replication, and that's why I made that statement at the last meeting, thinking that 17 was replication, I would not be in favor of it.
Right.
But,
I was just gonna say, so Lynn, this policy basically calls out exceptional situations? Was
Yeah,
there-
I mean, every regulation that we've had, we've tried to put in some wiggle room.
Yeah.
Because we're always gonna come across somebody who,
Yeah,
oh, we feel, actually, we need to bend rules a little bit for you.
Mm-hmm.
We
Not
don't.
everybody fits in the box.
right,
Exactly.
exactly. Everything's not
Exactly.
black and white.
There's always
especially-
gonna be a situation
Yeah.
that's extreme, or,
different. for
we
somebody.
feel, you know what, this, for you guys, it's so small, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. But we don't want to be in a situation where people buy a piece of property, they replicate a lot, they build it, and then they say, okay, I want a partial, I'm selling tomorrow.
Yeah.
If we say, oh, by the way, we don't give partials for this. Or if we make the decision, you're going to replicate 10,000 square feet, we don't feel comfortable with that, giving you that, given that it's 54% likely it's going to fail. One of the benefits of that is somebody comes, they seize it, and they go, you know what? I'm going to build on this lot, but I'm going to move it. I'm going to move the building here, and that way I don't have to deal with replication. And so then they don't have to worry about getting a partial. They can get a certificate of compliance once it's done. So I want to encourage that, because when you go the DEP guidelines, right, it says the first thing they should be doing is avoid, like try to keep everything even out of the buffer. If you can't do that, then try to minimize, get into the buffer. And if you can't do that, then look at replication. And I feel like sometimes they just jump to the last step.
Well, this is my project, we're moving it, and that's it.
Yeah, we go right to
Exactly.
replication.
So even if it means, okay, instead of having a 3,400 square foot home, maybe I can make it 3,000, right? You're still gonna be able to sell a home that's 3,000 square feet. But encouraging that sort of thing, but making it upfront, like, it's not a surprise to you guys. Because I don't want someone to do a replication, and then we say, you can't get a certificate, and they have to hold on to it for 2 years.
I think this,
That could be financial devastating to
Exactly.
some people.
Exactly. But if they know, for the most part, there's a little wiggle room there, and we can come up with other things, exceptions. Like if there's no stabilization of grass, we might, waive it. There might be some other things that we can think of where we
I don't even know if
would waive it.
I'd kind of add those, just kind of leave it at our discretion.
At our
Kinda
discretion, I want to
discretion.
put examples in there.
Right.
Couple.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
too crazy?
Yeah.
Right. I just think,
I would actually just leave it to our discretion.
okay.
I mean, because,
For us, we know what those examples are, you know, and
Right.
an idea, but you get into that small situation that it's just this little tiny piece, and they've done everything else to the letter of the law, and they're looking for a little,
Yeah.
not that we're trying to bend the rules, but if we're set hard, you've got
Right.
no leverage to
No
kind
wiggle
of
room.
adjust.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know, because ultimately, we're working for the townspeople, trying to do what's best,
right.
you know, so.
Right, right, exactly.
And we're not here to stop people from building on
Best
their
use of their
property
property,
or
yes.
whatever. Yeah.
Right.
It's like this
And we're
fine
also-
balance between letting people do what they want, but also protecting the resources and people who live right next door to them,
That's right.
who, you know, we don't want
Yeah.
flooding in their basement,
Right.
and they can say, well, it's not our problem. So, you know, that was my thought. I wanted to kind of run across, you know, what you guys thought about that, if we want to have that as a formal regulation.
I don't think it's a bad idea to have it. What I would suggest is that we put it on the agenda to finalize it at the next meeting,
Okay. Yeah.
and let us all read this and maybe make some notes and discuss it again,
Okay.
and we'll make the policy at the next meeting.
Okay, yeah. I can write something up, and then
Yeah.
wouldn't it be open meeting law to, how about we have a subcommittee?
I don't think we need a subcommittee. You can share it, we just can't discuss it in an email,
Right.
you know?
Well, I was just thinking if somebody is looking at it and they go, oh, you should change this paragraph and make it this.
So we'll just bring our notes back to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anyone has any ideas, you can share it with everyone. We just can't make policy via email.
Right.
We
Alright,
can
so
certainly discuss, you know, meeting times and stuff like that.
Sidewalks,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, so I will write something up, I'll send it out to you all. It's probably, I mean, I could just practically copy and paste this unless you
Right.
guys have other ideas.
I just want to look at a couple others too and see,
Yeah.
you know, if there's other ideas too.
Yeah, so if you have any, if you see anything while you're on websites and it addresses this, send it my way, and then I'll try to merge it all together, and then we can discuss at the next meeting and do a formal.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right. Anything else we want to discuss regarding this? You good?
I
Okay.
think we're good.
All right. Mass mapper training.
Yay.
This should not take long, I promise.
Simple.
So.
Pretty easy.
Okay, I gotta share my screen now. I think he wants to do something. To allow me to share. Okay, here we are. All right, can you guys see all that?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna move some of this stuff. Okay, so I'm just gonna start from the beginning. So all you have to do is go into massmapper.gov. You can just type massmapper into your browser as well. So I'll show you what that looks like. Just go massmapper, and it will be the first thing that pops up on your screen. When you get here, you'll see Massachusetts. Now, it will also have a little pop-up window, which I disabled because it'll say, once you've seen it, you don't need to see it again. So what you can do then is you can just type an address, and I thought, as an example, let's not do anything in Abington.
Okay.
So, I mean, we could, but I don't know, I felt kind of funny about that. So I wanted to find an example of somewhere where there's wetlands on the property and a stream. And so I was looking at, is it Norwell Road or Street in Norwell? I think that's, yeah, there we go. Okay. So what you see when you first look at that is you can see the property. Unfortunately, they use this color of fuchsia for the property, But you can get an idea down here of the wetlands.
So how up-to-date is this?
The wetlands themselves is probably, supposed to be up to date, like 6 months behind,
Okay.
no more. If you look really carefully down here, you can see there's a solid blue line, so that represents a perennial stream,
Okay.
okay?
And does that say it in a ledger somewhere?
Right now it doesn't, but I'll show you where
Okay.
you can find something. Over here in the upper, unfortunately, this is very slow when you see it on the screen, but there's a whole bunch of really cool things that you can look at. So, for example, if you want to, let's see, look at open space, you want to see trails. One of the things that we always have in our NOI packet that's required is looking at the natural heritage site, so that information can be right there. But what I always do is, let's say that we get a complaint or we have an RDA or NOI. Type in the address, I see that. Do we have wetlands? Yes? No? Okay. If we have a complaint, someone said somebody's filling something in, I want to see, is that actually happening? And then what's happened over time? So what you can do is go to this images tab right here. And there's a section for aerial photos. Is this the correct one? Because there's a couple places. Yep. So now you can see there's all these aerial imageries. So you can click over on, let's see, they go all the way back to the 1990s. It is black and white. So when you click on that, now you can see the black and white imagery of it. So you'll see though that now the property tax parcels are now below that. So anything that you want to see, you have to raise this up a little bit. Let's see, got this something in my way. That has to go above. There's a delay between my screen and this. Come on. It's freezing up. So what you can do, and I don't know what's going on. Why is it not? Let's see, I'm doing something else. Okay. Well, it looks like it's frozen.
It's trying to
But
go.
it's not on my
Something just moved.
computer. It's not frozen on my computer. Is it trying to do something up there?
Really?
I think you could hit share to unshare and then share again, maybe
Yeah.
I'll
that.
refresh the page.
Let's see, we stop share. Share again. All right, there we go. Okay. So now I've added on 2019 aerial imagery, 2023 aerial imagery. Again, whatever is at the top is going to be what you see. So you're always going to have to drag, your property tax parcels up to the top to see it. Goes up. And so that will show it again. And you can just do this for all the different imagery and just add them. And, it's kind of fun to go, like, what did it look like before? Boom. That sort of thing, just going back and forth here. You can also decide, I don't want to see that right here now, but I want to keep it in that place. So just click on the check mark. So you can go to whatever is underneath that and put it back. You can also, there's a little button here, so I don't want to see that anymore, just delete it. It's a little trash can. And then if you want to see, okay, well, where are the wetlands? They disappeared. There's a little, what is it, search thing up here.
Magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass, thank you, exactly. So you can go in here and you can do a search. Whoops. Up there. Sorry, the Zoom stuff is in my way. Okay, and just what I do is I just type in DEP wetlands, because there's a lot of different
Categories.
categories in here, it's really hard to find them, honestly. So I just go into DEP wetlands, and I pick the detailed ones, because that'll show me the different details. So now you can see we've mostly gotten back what we saw before with the wetlands. Now it's overlaid onto the current imagery, which was from a while ago. Okay, so if you had a question about rivers and streams, you can also go back up here, and there's a rivers. See it? And then what I would do is go down to the USGS rivers and streams. Oops, not that one. Let me go back up. Rivers. Sorry, my vision isn't very good anymore. Do I spell it? R-I-P-P. There we go. Now, this is at the top, but I have to say it is super hard to see. When I did this earlier today, and you have to get up really close to the screen, but that blue line is there. So what I recommend is, if you're like, well, I know there's a stream there, I want to see it with this imagery, is to just go ahead and, uncheck these different layers.
Can you hit the plus button on the left side and increase the image?
No.
But Lynn, on the
This is
tile, when you can call up the imagery for current for 2023, see
Yeah.
that you can adjust the, yeah. There's a slide to adjust on that tile.
Yeah, that tile, oh, I see what you meant. Yeah, but that's gonna make it more opaque.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you click on this sort of thing, it will change the opacity, but what it'll do is it'll make it so that you can actually start to bring in the layer beneath it.
Okay.
So if you make this and slide it so that it's
Yep.
all the way here, you're actually gonna be looking at the layer below you.
Yep.
And so some people might go, well, let's put it in the middle so we can kind of see both at the same time. But that's something that you can do. The other thing in terms of rivers, sort of like the way you can tell if there is definitely a perennial stream is from the USGS Geological Survey. They have, let's see, data collections. Where is it? Streams. I think it was this one. There's one that has a map, and all of a sudden it'll pop up, and it's really hard to see everything else underneath it. Let me see if I can find it. USGS. Data grid, ponds, maybe it was topographic maps. I believe that's what we want. Yeah. Okay. So as you can see, it's just this old hand-drawn type of map. But see that line right here, that blue line?
Yep.
That's the river or stream. So because it's a straight, solid blue line, it's considered to be a perennial stream. So when people come before us and they say, well, it's a perennial stream, they'll say, because of what is on USGS maps. But as we know, it's not always going to be exact. And so that's why, of course, we want to do a site walk and things like that. But you can just go ahead and see that. And we can zoom out on this with this button up here. So you can zoom out and see a little bit more if you want to get more information about how the USGS map the wetlands and the different streams. So if someone comes before us and they say, no, it's not a perennial stream, well, USGS says it is, so then they have to go out in the field and they have to document if it's intermittent or not in order for us to change our mind, because we're going to go with what USGS says.
Is there a Mass Mapper app that you can put on your phone?
No, unfortunately. It would be fantastic if you could use it on the phone. I have an Android, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I think
It's
it
not
does
very
work
friendly on the phone.
No.
It's just all over the place.
Yeah.
I was just trying it.
And it's, yeah,
not.
you gotta,
So for the
it's very
people at
sensitive to
home,
the
I'm not
touch.
playing with my phone, I was trying mass.
I was actually doing the same thing.
I'm not checking Facebook.
Thanks
Yeah,
for showing
so
us this. Lynn.
This is kind of the basic thing that I do. I just kind of play around the moving 2023 and then what happens in 2021, and you can really get an idea over time of just moving all these things down here, up and around. You know, and if you're like, okay, I don't want this, then I can get rid of that. And it's gone. Or I want to see where the FEMA floodplains are. So there's a way that you can just go up there and do the same thing, just do a search for FEMA.
Right.
And it'll give you all kinds of information. Flood hazard layer, let's see what happens there. There you go.
Nice.
So then you can get an idea, and I think it will tell you what type. You have to kind of, well, that's an A, right? So there's different types of FEMA flood zones.
Right.
And this comes in handy if you need things like compensatory storage because of the flooding for that particular area. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I encourage you to go ahead and look. There's a lot of other things. There's stuff about there's infrastructure, political boundaries, all kinds of stuff. They have a soil thing, you know, so you can get an idea, well, in this region, these are the types of soils that we have in general. Sometimes you'll put something and it will just be one big color for what you're looking at, so it's, oh, okay, maybe that isn't the best way of doing it. They do have something for certified vernal pools, but in Abington, right, vernal pool doesn't have to be certified. But it's a nice little thing to check, like, does this have any certified vernal pools? It doesn't necessarily mean that there's no vernal pools there, but it's something you can check. If the applicant comes in and says there are no certified vernal pools, we can go up here and we can look. So
Cool.
that's basically it. It doesn't take long to do it.
Once you start playing with it, you can,
Yeah, you'll be able to drag things around. Just remember that if you want the wetlands and the property lines, you always have to drag it up to the top of this for it to actually show up, because whatever you put on top is all over everything else. So, yeah.
Well, I think this is a good tool for residents to,
Yeah.
I didn't know I
their
had wetlands in my,
properties.
yeah, I didn't know I had
Very
wetlands in my
quickly.
backyard,
Right, yeah.
so,
You just type an address, boom, it's right there.
yeah.
and 109 Washington Street was a perfect example.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Exactly. The other reason there's one more thing I want to show you. Up in the upper left corner, there's this little ruler here,
oh, yeah, it
okay?
measures.
And so what you can do is, okay, so I want to see how far away, I can definitely zoom in because USGS maybe. I want to see how far away this house is from the nearest wetland. You can just choose that and then just draw a line. And then you can see in the upper box right there, it tells you how many
Calculating.
feet it is away. So if someone's like, oh, whoa, oh, you're 500 feet away from a wetland, you'll be fine. But the other thing too is sometimes we'll have a situation where, let's say we need to know the square footage of wetlands that are on their property. You can instead go down to let me turn this off first and then turn it back on. Go to the second one right here with the area. By default, it's at acres, so you'd want to go ahead and change that to square footage. And then you can just start to
Map it
go
out.
like this, and it will, create
Oh, yeah.
this area, and then you can look at it and go, okay, that has this many square feet, so this is how much you're going to have to replicate. Like, we can double check what people are saying to us, but it's also good when we have to say, you've done 1.5 acres of damage to the wetlands. We can make a quick estimate of that from these tools. And then you can also save it. If you've done any work and you want to create something, you can do that. You can mark it up. So if I want to put, a yellow line, whoops, I want to do something, you can go ahead and do all that too.
And can you print it?
Yeah, yeah, you can print it out. So, anyway, I just wanted to show that to you guys.
Thanks, Lynn.
I think it will come in handy, and as you play with it, you might find some cool stuff
Awesome.
that you think.
And how
is
far back did you say it went? The 90s?
1990s, yeah.
Really, but- okay.
Yeah. Now, the whole thing is 1990s, right? I don't know exactly when they were,
Right.
and it's all black.
But the
and white.
technology from there obviously has changed
Yeah.
significantly to now with
Yeah.
satellite.
But it gives us a good idea.
Yeah, we
if
can, you
someone
can see
says-
what was
Yeah.
there before,
yeah.
even 10 years ago, 20 years ago,
Right.
compared to what's there now.
Right.
And I think
so-
that's what we did when we went out to Walnut
30.
Street.
Yeah,
We gave
exactly.
her the 19 to
We can
21.
tell slowly but slowly, there were a lot of
Yeah.
trees
Yeah.
that was there. I mean, you can physically see it, but like just on the visual
You can- yeah, you
thing,
can
you
show
could
it on
just
the
like
map.
show, hey,
And this
was.
is what I did with the property that I made the presentation on. I just did screenshots of this and, had the fill, boom, boom, boom. And then you guys saw over time the changes. And all I had to do was just move that little section below, right? Move the layer up. And there, and it's really, I mean, it's interesting to see, oh, wait, what's happened in, 2001.
Right.
The only aerial imagery year that is bad is 2015.
Yeah.
It's just really
Fuzzy.
fuzzy and dark, and they took it farther away.
Yeah.
So what happens is, like, you're zoomed in as much as you possibly can. You do the 2015 aerial, it then comes up this way.
Yep.
And then if you're like, I don't want that, bring me to 2019,
Yep.
you're still out here, so you have to zoom back
Okay.
in. It's a little frustrating. So I don't even bother to look at the 2015. It's really hard to see. The other thing that, if you're gonna be comparing year to year, you're gonna notice that some of the years, they took the pictures in the winter
Yeah.
or fall, and some was in the summer. So some of the stuff might be, oh, they did something. Oh, actually, no. They
That's
took
just
it in the
the
winter,
foliage.
right?
Yeah, okay.
Because then you're gonna see, wait,
They took all the leaves
it's
off.
fine.
Dying, now they're alive. What's going on here?
Wait, in 2013, there was damage, and now 2019, there's a tree. Like, it's huge, it's 50 feet tall. Yeah, so it's just, you have to be really careful about that, and that's why it's a good idea to look at things. And we can also look at Google Maps as well, Google Earth. I've played with it just a little bit. I haven't done very much with it, but I know for Macs, they have a free app. I don't know how it is for Windows, whether you have to pay. I imagine you don't have to. But that's another thing that we can do if we've got a couple of years where it's just kind of funny and we can't get good imagery. We can go into Google Earth and see if we can go in the Wayback Machine and see better picture. They have a lot better images than
Especially
NASA
currently
has.
with the Google Maps.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions?
No, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Oh, wait,
Wait, slow down,
Almost there, almost
I need
there.
to leave though.
Okay.
He has to leave though.
I know. Building permits, site visits, we're done. Meeting minutes. What do we have? We just have a few. Did you guys get a chance to look them over?
I did not.
Okay, then we'll wait.
Why don't we put that off till the
Okay.
next one?
Correspondence, nothing.
All right.
Excellent.
Now,
Motion
Justin.
to adjourn.
Second.
All right.
Unanimous.
Yay.